Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got 3 replays in the Mercenary Tier 10 Premium Tank Destroyer, the Nemesis, which is part of the Warhammer 40k collaboration. Now if you did like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the Nemesis, it's got a bit of a gimmick about it. It's basically an E100, but its armour is actually worse than the E100, but you get a gun that is a little bit better. And the gun has its own gimmick. So, it's got 1200 meters a second shell velocity on all 3 of its rounds. It's got a 2.27 second aim time on this gun, which is, yeah, it's alright. It's a bit slow to aim in at times. You got 0.29 accuracy with the build that we've got, which is pretty decent when you do get it fully aimed in. Accuracy during rotation is 0.54. Accuracy during movement is 1.93, which again is not actually the worst for a tank destroyer in the universe, but it's still not the best, especially since we've knocked that down to what we've got it down to with the build that we have. But the gimmick, so the gun, everything about the gun is the same for each of the 3 rounds. You can see I'm firing full premium, and that's because all 3 rounds have different alpha damages. You might be going, huh? Yeah, all 3 rounds have different alpha damages. So they all have 310 millimeters of penetration, which is great. That's going to pen most things you're going to face at tier 10. But they have different damage numbers. So the standard round has a 700 alpha damage shot. The premium round has an 875 alpha damage premium shot. And the third round has a 350 alpha damage. So it actually has less damage than the other 2. They all have around the same DPM, around that 3.3k DPM mark. The reloads for all 3 shells, so for the first shell that has 700 alpha damage, sorry, is 12.5 seconds. The reload for the 875 damage shot is 15.8 seconds, and the third shot for 350 is 6.3 seconds. So the gimmick is basically that you load the round with the right damage for the situation you're in. So I don't load any of the standard because I'd rather just wait 3 seconds longer and load 875 damage instead of having 700. And the amount of situations where you're going to decide, oh, that guy's got 650 hit points, I may as well just load the 700 alpha damage instead of someone who's got 750 hit points and you just load the premium shell, is very limited. Whereas the differences between having to load the premium round and deciding, okay, that guy's only got about 200 hit points, let's just load the 350 alpha damage shell to finish them off for 200, right? And I can reload that shell in 6.3 seconds. The difference between those 2 rounds is massive, whereas the other one is just a bit so I'd rather have the higher damage and then switch to the 350 alpha damage round where I need to, which is why I only load 2 rounds as well, because it makes it a bit awkward sometimes to keep flicking between the 3 rounds. It's like, you know, when you use the ammo swapper on certain tanks, and having 3 shells is a bit of a pain sometimes when you're trying to find the right shell, because you can accidentally get the wrong one, and you just sit there going, oh, I made a mistake, right? So it just limits that. So yeah, this round, this tank has that 875 damage, which is pretty damn phenomenal, really, for 3.3k. And when it hits, it also has a visual thing where you're going to see it. It has a massive explosion. But you see right there why I'm not a big fan of this gun, because we got that mostly aimed in on that low plate, that E4. We got 310 pen, but yet it still hit a spot that it couldn't pen. This tank for me is one of those that I am not the biggest fan of. It does feel satisfying when the shells do hit, but you're big, you're slow, you've got no camo, which you can knock down. You've got 409 meters of steel concealment with the build that I've got, but if you were to drop the GLD and run the camo net, you actually have 349 meters of steel concealment, which again is still not very good, but it's better than nothing really, and it makes it obviously a lot less likely to get spotted at certain distances. But you want to make that aim time better, because the aim time really does let this gun down at times, and it can be a bit frustrating, because you do have a 30 km/h top speed on this tank with a 1200 horsepower engine, 10.82 horsepower per ton ratio, which is why this tank is so slow. You just trundle. It's like the E100, right? You just trundle into position, and then you do slap the rounds out. But because you've got worse armor than the E100, there's a lot of situations where things just pen you. like, no problem at all. Like, they go through the side armor and laugh at you sometimes. The turret armor gets absolutely laughed at as well as your lower plate getting laughed at, which naturally your lower plate's always going to get laughed at. But because everything else is just so weak, your armor does let this tank down quite a lot, and you feel like you should be bouncing more shots than you do for saying the type of tank you are. But hey-ho, that's just the Nemesis. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment on this tank? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Track Mechanic, Rapid Aim, Advanced Loader, the GLD, and Optics. Optics to be able to spot for myself, get myself up to the 461 meters of view range that I've got, because this tank is actually not that good at spotting for itself, so you want to try and make it not as blind as possible with the optics and the situational awareness, etc. The GLD to knock that aim time down, because like I said, the aim time can be a bit of a pain. The Advanced Loader to get the best DPM you possibly can. Rapid Aim to make the turret traverse better, because the turret traverse is a little bit slow, and with that Rapid Aim we do get it up to 21.89 degrees a second, which is still exceptionally slow, which is why we run Rapid Aim, because it's just the turret traverse really isn't very good. All three gun perks to make this gun as good as possible, because like I say, it likes to derp, and realistically it is the only strength of the tank, is the gun. And if that gun doesn't hit, what do you have? Not really that much. Not really that much. Which is what the Nemesis is all about. Is it worth how expensive it is? Because this tank is super... Oh, that's another shot right there. Why this gun annoys me. But yeah, this tank is super duper expensive, as is most of the Warhammer collaboration, if we're honest. They're all ridiculously expensive, except for the Reaper's Scythe. And the Ignis Pagatio as well. But the Nemesis is worth 17,000 gold, which, like I say, is stupidly expensive. And is it worth spending that much gold on this tank? I really don't think so, not at all, if we're honest. That is way too much money to spend on something like this, and it's not that great. It's not bad. Where did that shot go? Oh, yeah. That found the one pixel on that dead wreck there to hit to not pen that 5120 is typical. But yeah, I don't think it's worth that much gold at all. It's okay. It's an okay tank. It's not horrific, but it's just not that great. And for how much gold you have to spend on it, no chance. Finished that first game with the 4.6k damage, 868 assistance, the 1294 base XP, a fairly average game there for the Nemesis. That showed, you know, where you load the big alpha round and then you switch to the 350 alpha round to finish off targets where you need to. That just showed off what you can do with the different types of rounds on the tank in that replay. But yeah, I feel like it's one of those tanks where it's not bad. It's really not bad, especially when they first released this tank, it was awful. It was just genuinely dreadful, because you only had 280 standard pen, you know, your shell velocity was slightly worse, which meant that the gun handling was pretty poor. There was some tanks that you really just couldn't pen, like Type 5s, because they've got 285mm of armour on the front, and for the most part all around that front area, so you just couldn't deal with a Type 5 heavy. And you're a tank destroyer, right? And then as well as that, you'd say your shell velocity was worse, so you were derpier, and you were worth this much money, and obviously your armour doesn't work, because your armour is pretty poo. It just, you get penned in silly places, even on the side armour, right? With the spaced armour on the side, you think, well, I'm an E100. If I side scrape, I can bounce a lot, because that's what the E100 does. Well, the thing is, your spaced armour on this tank is 30mm, whereas the same side skirts are 60mm of thickness on the E100, which will help you to bounce a hell of a lot of shots when you're trying to side scrape and stuff like that. And you're going to see that in, I think, this replay maybe, where you're trying to side scrape and just tanks just go, oh, lol, straight through the side. And you sit there going, oh, cool. But yeah, this second replay, we are on Ruinberg. And on Ruinberg, we've come to the aggressive spot. We managed to get a nice shot snapped into the Leopard. We've got a shot into the T-57 Heavy. And that Leopard is still in a position that I can shoot it. So I'm like, well, let me just aim up this shot. You can see the aim time's quite long, but we put the shot down range and finish off that Leopard PTA for that 829. The 875 damage shot that this tank has is really satisfying to use, and can be... It's just satisfying when it hits. When it hits, it's lovely. And also, that explosive, like, gimmick that it's got is also quite beautiful to see. When it smashes, it's like, pew! And you're like, oh, yes, that is good. That is good. But we're going to pop around the corner, get a shot into the drive wheel there of the 268 version 5. which tracked him in place. We put a big shell into him, and you can see there the E4 went straight through the side of the armour there. He didn't even care about the angle, and we're now just aiming up to see if we can get a shot into him. We've got his drive wheel, we'll try and get a shot in, but sadly he pulled back just in time to get away from that shot. But now I'm thinking, oh, this is a bit risky. I've not really got much cover with me. I've got 268 version 5 in front of me, which I can finish off with one shot, but the E4 is a 2-shot, which is a little bit awkward, because if the E4 comes after us, he's going to kill us in one shot. If the 268 version 5 comes after us, he's going to kill us in one shot. Obviously, I can kill that 268 version 5 in one shot, no problem. But if he beats me to the trigger, well, game over. So what we're doing is backing up. We're getting out of dodge, because that is a dangerous place to still be sat, because we have no cover. But we have a lot of people up the F line. So if I have them come up the middle along the F line, whoever attacks me is going to be able to get shot from the mid, and that will give me some sort of protection, which is why we've pulled back into this section here. Plus, if they are still around the corner like they are, we can pull into a position to maybe try and get a cheeky shot into them as they drive around the corner. The E4 pops round, and just as he was about to drive out in front of the gun, they pull back. And my spider sensors are going, that bat chat, where is he? Oh, it's a T-57 Heavy. He managed to snap the shot, track, and penners, because again, if we were in an E100, he probably wouldn't have been able to do that, but Nemesis, yeah. The Batchat's come round and is trying to get some shots into us. You can see I'm keeping as angled as humanly possible, because obviously we do have less armour than an E100. But angling is still a key component to this kind of tank and this kind of armour. And that Batchat managed to bounce a couple of shells. We end up driving backwards into the Prosciutto, which I'm like, I'm sorry, buddy, I didn't mean to. I was trying to get a shot, I must mucked it up. The E4 comes round. Oh, my lord, he gets a little hit for 1100. I think the artillery just penned that E4, which is a sad time for that guy. The Batchat I see is coming round. I can finish this guy off in one shot, so I'm aiming up, backing up. Good night, Mr. Batchat. We shut down the Batchat there for the 700, and there's only one tank left on the enemy team. It is the Waffle E100 over there. 857 hit points. Most of the time, I should be able to finish this guy off in one shot, so we're going to drive around, see if we can just get the shot in before my team gets it. We're just looking for the shot in the Waffle. Can we see him? He's just around the corner. It's like, Mr. Waffle, give me the shot. Oh, thank you very much, sir. And we finish off the Waffle 100 there for our 5th kill of the game. We finished with 5.5k damage, the epic victory, 5 kills, 1,487 assistance, the ace tank of the high caliber, with the 1,697 base XP. A really nice game there for the Nemesis. Again, showing off what it can do. You can slap out those big rounds, catch people out, you'll hit them quite hard. The armour just, it does work if you angle it, but a lot of the time you just get people pen you that you just sit there going, oh, like, oh, come on. To me, it is a little bit sad that this tank does have that worse armour than the E100. I get them giving it stuff like worse turret armour, maybe, than an E100, because you don't really want to have the same armour as an E100 with this gun, because then you are literally just a better E100, right? But stuff like the side skirts getting weaker is a little bit of pain, realistically, for the Nemesis, because it does remove that ability to just side scrape, as you saw with E4, and like the T-57 Heavy just went, lol, straight through the side on the snap, because, why not? That's what I feel like doing to you, sir. Because, yeah, well, they just can. If they've got the penetration that most of the tier 10s are going to have around that 260 pen, your armor doesn't mean that much. But if you, like I say, angle up, make it as difficult as possible for the enemy teams to pen you, then there's always every chance that they could bounce. So we're on the 3rd and final replay of this video, and we're on Himmelsdorf. We managed to put a big shot into this 13105. I've switched to the 350 alpha damage round because I don't need the big round to finish off a 13105 that's on no hit points. And now we're just going to sit and wait for this guy, because if this guy's gone, then I can decide to progress, or I can actually decide what I want to do with the rest of this fight. So we're just waiting. He pulls out, and good night, sir. We finish him off with that 350 alpha damage round. That's the tier 10 light tank out of the game. I'm still spotted, and I was kind of like, what is still spotting me? And actually, that Revelry, or the M51 Super Sherman, I should say, could actually see me through the gap. But he gets finished off by the Brask. There is an Orochioni down at the bottom, and I'm thinking, right, okay, let's go pressure this Orochi, because with 310 pen, I'm probably going to go through an Orochi quite easily. So as we're popping across, we see the M103 with his side on. We managed to finish off that M103 with a nice shot through the side there for like 800 odd. Again, it's where the 875 damage is quite nice for the Nemesis there with that round. Because if tanks are on just above 800, you can just finish them off. There's a Ho-Ri 2 here at G4, and I'm thinking, right, okay, you know what? I could get into a position to shoot this Ho-Ri 2 if we can. I can shoot the guys on the hill, but I don't feel like they're going to come into a position where maybe I can shoot them. So we're going to try and put pressure on the Orochi, try and put pressure on the Ho-Ri. And as we drive around, we find the Jagdpanzer E100. I feel like he's going to get away before I load the other shell, so we load the 350 alpha damage shell, get a second shot into that guy for 350, well, 318, and then we reload the premium shell. That's, again, I felt like in that situation, I was not going to get the chance to load this 875 alpha damage round, so I just loaded the premium round, sorry, the 350 alpha damage round, and got an extra shot into that guy. We've put the Ho-Ri down to a one-shot now with 350, so we've loaded the lower alpha damage round for better well, not better DPM, for a better reload, and unfortunately, we bounced. We've now got the mid-plate. We only have to hit the mid-plate to kill the Ho-Ri, and it hits the floor. Thanks, gun. Thank you so much. We've now got shots up at the 50B, which we put one in for 350. Go straight for the premium round, though, because I feel like I want to slap this guy for a lot more damage than I have currently. He could obviously get away from me by the time I've reloaded it, but I just decided to take that risk anyway. We're up to 5.3k damage. They've got two guys in their cap, and I'm thinking, I'll go back and try and defend the cap. But I do see that they're starting to lose hit points, and a lot of our guys back there are actually pretty healthy. And I'm thinking, am I going to get there to get any damage on these guys? Probably not. We get detected, which makes me go, oh no, there's something on the hill that can see me. That is not good, but I'm not detected, so it's not looking at me. But there, oh, there it is. It's the 114 SP2. And the shot only tracks the 114 SP2 in the side. 310 millimeters of penetration. Thanks, gun. That was really good. I like this gun sometimes, I really do. And unfortunately, yeah, we didn't get that shot in. Now the 114 SP2 gives us a shot towards his turret, so we aim it in, and we go really high and ricochet off his turret instead. A tank that we should have really been able to pen, but then he makes the cross, which means we can't actually get another shot in. There's only 3 tanks left. It is that 114 SP2 that's up on the hill, the Orochi that was from earlier on, and the 50B that is down here. So we're just going to try our very best to get there if we can, because naturally we're going to have to trundle there, because Nemesis is pretty damn slow at 30 kilometers an hour. And we're just watching that gap in the hill, because I thought maybe the 114 SP2 might actually poke out there, but he doesn't appear, so we're just going to keep maneuvering towards the Orochi and the 50B. Now, the 50B could clip me out, so I've got to be careful of that. The Orochi, I'm not really scared of the Orochi whatsoever. And I'm thinking, do I go for the Orochi? I'm thinking, nah, the medium tanks have got that. You know what? Let's go for the healthier 50B, because our 2 medium tanks were going straight towards that Orochi. He'll probably die before I get there. So the 50B managed to track antennas there, but we managed to snap the shot into his turret because we were really, really close. Finish off that tier 10 French auto-loading heavy tank. And, oh, heavy tank? Medium tank. It's a medium tank these days. That's old school, that is. But we finished with the victory. 3 kills, 6,011 damage, the 305 assistance, the first class, the high caliber, the sniper, 1,357 base XP. A pretty decent game there for the Nemesis on Himmelsdorf. Again, showing off what it's all about, showing off that the armor can be a bit ineffective at times, but also that you do have those 2 really nice rounds that you can, it's got a nice little bit of flexibility where you can hit people hard, or you can go, oh, I can finish this guy off for like 200 and just load a round that loads really quick. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success.